Warning, the video that you are about to watch may contain spoilers. Please do not watch this video if you do not wish to have spoilers on the upcoming sales in Marvel Avengers Alliance. If you are a woman who is pregnant, if you are a child who is under 8, if you have colon cancer, if you have rectal polyps, if you have lung cancer, ear hair, nose hair, no hair at all, or generally have difficulty breathing or have your heart beat. Guess if you're going to make it this far, you want to have spoilers. So, we have 3 items up for sale currently in Marvel Avengers Alliance. There are more coming, and they will be coming towards the end of December into the beginning of January. We will go ahead and discuss the 3 items that are up for sale first, and then we will spoil the rest of the ones that are coming up. I wanted to go ahead and wait for the first few items to come up for sale because I wanted to make sure that the information was credible before I actually did a video on it. Again, this is your last warning before the spoilers hit. So if you want to keep watching, you're going to find out what's going to be for sale coming up. First, we have the Batstone Predator at 83 gold. This is an AoE chain gun weapon. It exploits bleeds. It has payback time, but more on that in a moment. It has wild shots where it says has low chance to hit. Payback time, you gain catastrophic and follow-up attacks whenever an ally is dead. Now, the big question is, what if an ally dies but is resurrected through a resurrection type mechanic like Phoenix or the Agent Resing or Valkyrie with Deathwatch? We don't know. I've never actually tried to play around with it, but it's possible. It also has apply pressure like the Styptic ISO, and it also has Hunter Sensed. Takes 10% less damage for each application of bleeding on the attacker. So a good one to use this with would be something like the Devourer, the Iron Star, or Fandral, who could drop 3 immediate stacks of bleeds on the entire enemy team. The quote for this is, "Do not turn into a does not turn you into a Tyrannosaurus, we think." Then we have the Cybernetic Blade, which is part of the Cybernetic set. It is adamantium. It does not bypass shields, but it does ignore the defense stat. It causes poison, it has poison reduction, and it has a chance at a follow-up. If you run another piece of the cybernetic set, you gain malignant poison, you exploit attrition, and the poison also turns into basically despair, and it has a chance to spread to nearby allies. We have the Stake Thrower from the Blade set, otherwise known as the Hunter set. It is multifunction. When you add other pieces of the Hunter set, you gain the guaranteed hits and the guaranteed crits. Let's go ahead and show you what the multifunction is like. I used to use this against Dracula during that Spec Ops. Using this with the Vampire Sword was quite good. The Vampire Sword, of course, gave you extra turns, and then the Stake Thrower over here had some pretty good multifunction to it. So we have the Fatal Blow, we have the Bleeding and Ravaged, we have the Blinded Disoriented, and we have the Stun. Pretty good item. Not the best, but it's pretty good. It very resembles the Blade Thrower. So, here come the spoilers. So as we can see here, this, of course, is not in English, but based on the gear, it's pretty easy to take a look at all of these. So here we are. This is the first 3. This is exactly what we knew. We have the Stake Thrower, which looks a lot like the Blade Blaster. We have the Cybernetic Sword. We have the Batstone Predator. Coming up is the Capacitative Gun, which came from the Guardians of the Galaxy Spec Ops. This is the Capacitative Blaster. It also is a multifunction, and it runs off of cosmic energy. I don't like this weapon a whole lot. This is kind of an obnoxious weapon to use because building up towards that amount of cosmic energy really does get pretty bad. But I'll show you the multifunction of it over here. If I could stop misclicking. By the way, this is going to be a very tough video to do full screen because of the back and forth between the wiki and the spoiler page. You know, I find it funny that there are people who data mine Marvel Avengers Alliance just as much as there are people who data mine WoW. I mean, I get WoW, but this game, it's surprising, but I've gotten used to it. So at 20%, we have... by the way, anytime you fire this, it consumes all stacks of cosmic energy, but you have high crits for the first couple, then you have high crits, deadly crits, high crits, deadly crits, and then eventually at 5 stacks, it exploits opportunity. Not that strong of a gun. We have the big one coming up tomorrow. This is the one that I am the most interested in. It says here that is the Magia Pistoleria. I'm going to call this the Magia Triggerman. That's what I believe we're going to get 2 days before Christmas. Definite 64 gold droppage instantly. The moment I see this, I'm getting it. I think JW's getting it. I know of a lot of people that are waiting for this. And of the first 5, nothing to me means more than that Magia Triggerman. I have this. These 2 came from sets. This also came from a set. So we certainly may see this again. Any of these that are parts of sets, you certainly may see again. Like the Barrow Guard down here, we just had this. And eventually we can see the signpost, it's broken. But we have the Magia Triggerman, and then after that, the 0 Day. The 0 Day, I believe, was from the Spec Ops that contained Bastion. It is part of the Integrated Intelligence set. This was a really interesting item, and I really tried to get this to work with certain tech characters like Rocket, but it was a tough set to pull off. It does bleeding. It hits all enemies, and it has a 1-round cooldown. It's a summon. It does bleeding. At 2 sets, it has static charge. At 3 pieces of the stat, pyrophoric. And at 4, it goes ahead and brings down Nimrod Sentinels that AoE with Fatal and Brutal Strike. So I will show you the pieces of that set. It's called the Integrated Intelligence set. That is what gave us the cufflink, the master key, the 0 Day, and this really cool item called the Calculated Response. The Calculated Response is a little bit like the Gauntlet Caress, that if 4 pieces, you gain the positive aspect of the class. So if a tactician hits you, you're going to get extra turns. It also causes disadvantage at 3 pieces where they get a negative effect depending on the class of the target. So like an infiltrator would become off balance. So after the 0 Day, we have what I believe is the Web Axe. This was from one of the spider-related Spec Ops. And I believe it's this. No, it's not actually the Web Axe. What is that? The Web Catcher? I think it is part of this set, though. I think it is part of the Sticky Situation set. Web Breaker. Okay, so here it is. It is the Web Breaker. I actually have very little of this set. I have the Netcaster, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and discuss the Web Breaker. You become immune to webbed, which is not really too bad with the ASG floating around. Off balance. Web Breaker gains rising up after hitting a web target, wind up, and then combat awareness. So if ASG wasn't nerfed and was still splashing her stacks of webbing around properly, this might not be too bad of an item. At the time, I didn't like it. People they pretty much underrated this set because we didn't think it was going to be that good. But it goes to show you, complete your sets if you can, because this may be better. This is the Pneumatic Nailer. We have not seen the Pneumatic Nailer in a very, very long time. If we look at the pneumatic nailer, the last time we saw it was in April of 2013 from a gold sale bonus. This is a very interesting item. It used to be for killing group bosses. Every round that you didn't use, or every action that was not using the pneumatic nailer would buff up the damage. When you fired it, you caused the person to become nailed or punailed, and they would be filled with metal, which then opens them up to magnetism and all the things that affect metallic targets. It also has a 100% chance to counter single target attacks. That is going to be very, very big. So I am looking at picking up the Magia Triggerman and the pneumatic nailer myself. As you can see, this one's going to be very expensive. This is the No Mercy from the Four Horsemen set. This is Phrygia's Hope. This is the Might of Attilan. This is the Pulse Blade. The Pulse Blade was a gold sale item. And it is this little doohickey over here. You can see from me how long ago it came out. It was level 197. You become unstoppable, which is pretty cool. When your health is below 50%, attacks with the Pulse Blade regenerate health and grant rising up. You are also Selective Protector. You protect allies from single target and area attacks, but you do not protect against a counter class. So, a Tactician would not protect against an Infiltrator. A Blaster would not protect against a Tactician. That's what this means. Sort of a little bit like a Blade of a Guardian, but this is a tough one to pull off. It looks really, really fancy. Selective Protector we haven't seen until the Munin's Eye. So there's not a lot of things that do this. So it's not bad. I can see people definitely attempting to use that. We have what they call the Devastator, which in the game is called the Obliterator. This is part of the Vindication set. If you have the Power Cell Mark II or Mark III, it consumes the charge to apply Shield Breaker and give a follow-up attack. This is an AoE follow-up attack. So it makes the gun hit twice. At one stack, it just causes burning, and it reduces attack by 25%. Pretty good for shutting down high-power teams, but you also really need to run a Power Cell to get the most out of it. We have that is the Devourer over here, which is part of the Son of the Demon set. I have two of them. This automatically applies one stack of bleeds. It applies 2 stacks of bleeds if you run it with Black Knight. Blood Curse, it follows up whenever anybody attacks an ally with bleeding, or an ally with bleeding, or an enemy with bleeding attacks. It causes a permanent exposed on you. If you are weakened, you have a chance to apply incapacitation. This has some synergy with the Scroll of Runamaroth and of course the rest of the Demon set. We have this little laser thing over here. This is part of the Stark set. I think that was called the Laser Cutter, if I remember correctly. The Stark set sucks. I really don't like it. It does Shield Breaker. If you have the Stark Resilient, it gains Stealthy, and it removes the starting cooldown. It also melts armor. It does not trigger counterattacks or protect abilities. Shit. Complete shit, if you ask me. This is the Barrow Guard. This is something that I might pick up myself if my gold continues to maintain pretty well, as I did not get the full set when it was up, but we will take a look at the Barrow Guard here. 13th Charm revives the agent when 25% health and debuffs are removed when you're knocked out. Grants Wisdom when revived, which removes the cooldown on the Roar of the North. Only triggers once every 3 rounds, cannot stack, but that means it could resurrect you later in battle if it goes more than 3 rounds. Or, you get another 3 rounds. Fortitude, resistance to being knocked out by damage over time effects. Restores health when attacking. Probably going to pick that one up. This is the Oracle. The Oracle is shit. I would not recommend picking up the Oracle at all. Exploits machines, data spike, removes all combat data to do extra damage. It applies combat data to enemies who have none. Chance to avoid enemies with combat data, consumes combat data when avoiding attacks. It does incapacitation. So if we take a look at combat data to see things that apply it, you will find that not a lot of things actually do it. You think Deathlock does, but what Deathlock does doesn't count for it. Basically, the Combat Analyzer, the Oracle Reboot, the Skeptic, and the Carapace all deal with it. Right now, the most common thing that people have for use with this are the Reboot and the Skeptic. It's a shit weapon. I don't recommend wasting your money on it. The Scroll of Aknazak, affectionately known as the Soak. This is a big one for a lot of people. Not a lot of people did this particular covert ops. However, this is a phenomenal gadget. You do want to get this if you have the money, so save up. It has 4 seals that become available as time goes on. These are not all available in round 1. You have to proceed through to get them. The first seal removes buffs from the enemy team and suppresses most effects that prevent or remove buffs. So, it essentially protects you against Black as Void and everything like that. Where this was very, very common is in Rising Up teams. If you had people that really needed Rising Up to perform well for Finest Hour, you ran the Scroll of Aknazak to seal those buffs in. The second seal for all enemies reduces the damage on the next attack through Broken Will, but all sides get spirit weapons. The attacks gain Ethereal Strike and Ignore Defense. So this is a good and bad thing, by the way. This isn't all positive to run this. The third seal of Aknazak puts out Despair on the enemy team, bordered, but it still only lasts for 2 rounds. Heavy Metal on everybody, immune to bleeding, burning, and chilled, a very high crit resistance. And then finally, at the 4th seal, everybody on both sides gets Soulfire, including your team, by the way. Other allies get Burst of Speed, where they get 2 turns immediately. Grants 2 extra turns to each other ally at a deadly cost. So if you proceed to this point, your agent suicides, and everybody else gets 2 turns. There are certainly decent applications of that, but this is kind of rough to use thanks to both the positive and negative aspects of it. It is best used with Rising Up teams. And then finally, on the 1st of January, expiring on the 5th of January, is the Signpost. The Signpost right now is broken. We may have the passives from it, but we do not have the actives from it. Using the Signpost in combat currently does nothing. You do not take away health and stamina for the enemy team. You do not regain health and stamina. So I would avoid buying the Signpost for quite a while to make sure hopefully they fix it. I would assume they fix it in the near future, as it is a major staple in PvE and PvP. I can't imagine they would let it go too long in its broken state, but honestly, you never know. Look at Kate Bishop's boomerang. So, I hope I planned out your holiday gift to yourself guide over here. Again, I warned you that there would be spoilers, but I think these spoilers here basically help people manage their money. I myself am going to be after the Magia Triggerman and the Pneumatic Nailer, and then eventually the Barrow Guard. I have everything else here, or I don't want it. Not really interested in the Frigga's Hope, but I will be getting the Barrow Guard. My No Mercy actually needs a reforge if I ever use it again. And really I have everything on here except for the Frigga's Hope, the Barrow Guard, the Pneumatic Nailer, and the Magia Triggerman. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope I planned out some gold spending for you guys over the next few weeks. Take care.